Well, hello guys. So I didn't necessarily expect to do another recording on this little trade account, but the opportunity came, so I jumped on it quick, and it's been slow going, slow getting into profit, and there's only about 12 minutes left. We're only 2 pips below my strike. I've hit my 1-to-1. This was pretty out of the money at the moment of entry. So I don't want to, let this thing pop in the last minute. So I'm just going to take my 1-to-1 and get out. I'd like to get 1-to-1 covering fees, but if I think that's going to be right around 25 is where, well, 22, that's better than what I was expecting, but yeah, I'm just going to take it. I'm not going to be greedy. I don't even know where I got out at. Yeah, so that's that. Let me go over the trade real quick with you and just kind of analyze it. So it was just a quick little trade. It did, like I said, it didn't move as fast as I wanted it to, but that happens sometimes, and that's Nadex for you. You really can't be greedy sometimes. So what I was seeing here is UJ has just pushed up pretty significantly recently. Okay, so we kind of had this little channel thing here, which we just recently broke out of. Now, honestly, I had planned on shorting this earlier on in the day at a test of this. This also was some kind of confluent levels, fib-wise, but it never filled while I was at my chart, and it only recently filled. But I wasn't in the opportunity. I wasn't in the place to take that trade because I was in the middle of a session, boot camp session. So I wanted to just watch this to see if it was going to provide any other opportunities. And you can see if we kind of take that away and just look at kind of what price is doing here. This kind of stood out to me, and the reason why was you can see if you use this kind of neckline of this double top, triple top, whatever you want to call it, as kind of an anchor point, and use these various wick points as establishment points, except for this little spot here, that you can see price is obviously respecting this line, structural line, in the diagonal sense. On the 4-hour chart, no candle closes once these are tested. No candle closes are closed above it. You can see here we get a spike up, closes back below, comes right back up, retests it, and then drops. So I had that in my favor. The other thing that you can see here is there's some profit targets here. So if we just take this last push up, we come down, we kind of test in between, and we get a really shallow retracement, which was actually kind of just a squeeze breakout, or just a squeeze consolidation period. And we squeeze, we test these shallow fib retracements, and then we push up. Well, those initial profit targets are right there. So as we were coming up into that area, I took an out of the money, and that out of the money was at 110.60, so that was my strike. And I was looking for just a pop down. It was probably about an hour and a half left of the binary, and I just went ahead and shorted. There are some other fib levels in here from the higher time frame. If we take the 4-hour chart just do a quick low to low. There's a 78.6 right there. That was kind of front run just a little bit. Let's see if we can lock on pretty precisely. Yeah, just basically front run, just a hair. Now, I didn't put a whole lot of faith into that because I wasn't a big fan of how little it respected the previous fibs. And if I just take those off, you know that I have kind of some profit targets in and around this general area. I wasn't a big fan of this low to low fib just because the fibs historically haven't been respected very well. A little bit here and there, but that may just be coincidence. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. So when I was just kind of looking at various other fibs, I wasn't a huge fan of this one either because, again, there's not a lot of respecting of the levels going on here. So I didn't put a whole lot of faith into that fib retracement either. But they both were still there. Okay? So just because these ones weren't respected, you know, there's a possibility that this one might be respected. Maybe this is the one. Okay? Structurally, higher time frame structure we have is, you know, you can clearly see this. It's just in kind of an interesting spot. Really, it's in a decision spot. And I could really see this eventually kind of coming back down within this channel. Maybe it was just reaching for those fib levels. Who knows? But I could see it coming back down in this channel, maybe giving a quick little retest, and then pushing down to this lower channel. Maybe that could happen. Because overall, I do think it may be going a little bit higher. Just based off of the higher time frames, you know, we had a pretty volatile move down here, which kind of double bottomed. That's an interesting thing to see, but maybe it was just a fat finger or something. I don't know. But hopefully this kind of gives you a better opportunity of how I'm going about this, how I'm going about these trades. I'm not just blindly entering. Now this one's close. I don't even know if it's expired yet. Let's see, we got 5 minutes left, and it's literally a pip below my strike. You know, so that's exactly why pick your spots and take your profits when you can get a chance. But kind of have a plan. So my general plan was to take profit at the retest of this because, again, maybe it's just working its way up and this was just a quick little ebb and flow. Okay, we essentially came down into this previous structure level here and had just a, you know, if you're looking at the smaller time frames, had just a, you know, a quick little pop off of it. But maybe that little pop off of it would have been enough to send price higher above my strike, this blue line, by expiration. You know, not in the least comfortable holding this strike with expiration with the little amount of movement we got. I mean, you can see the big surge up, the big buying pressure here, and right now it's just kind of teetering down. Okay, that's not very reversal in nature. Okay, the money is still obviously to the long side, at least for the time being. Maybe this is getting towards the top. Who knows? Maybe it's going to pop back down and, like I said, kind of maybe head lower. That's becoming too predictive in nature for me. But confluence-wise, it was there to give it a quick little try, and you know, luckily I took profit where I was because, you know, you can see price is very, very close to that strike. Not something that I would want to be sitting in the last 5 minutes. And I actually missed this initial bounce down here. I saw something, you know, maybe like 18, 20. and remember, this was the candle that I just got back out on, one of these candles. It was after this initial quick little pop up. So that's the process with Nadex. It's not terribly difficult. The difficult part is picking. If I could critique myself with this, I think, because the confluence in and around this general area seems attractive to me to warrant a potential short. Now, there are other levels up, maybe 20 pips or so, that are also pretty attractive to me for looking at a short. So as of right now, as it stands, this was not something that I wanted to hold for a long time, because I could see price moving up towards 111, maybe a little bit below, in and around that general area. But that's the only critique, that maybe I should have waited to see if price would have pushed up there, because as of right now, it doesn't really seem like the bears are there. And I know it's early, or it's late in the Asian session, and London Open hasn't opened yet, so it's kind of a low volatility time, a low volume period. So that may have played a role in just the slow movement. The other thing that I probably could have afforded to do was maybe pick a strike that expired a little bit later. Okay, so like I said, there was maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so left of that contract, and I literally just kind of twiddled my thumbs watching this. I was like, well, am I going to get the movement I need? And this is very close. I'm not sure what Nadex is reading on the binary, but that was a lucky call. I mean, we're less than half a pip below. I mean, I'll just kind of sit here and see. This was my strike here, and it looks like it may, but oh, that's ugly. That's not something that I like to sit through. Okay, so I'm very happy with how I managed that trade. Yes, it did expire, full profit. Yes, I could have grabbed another, I don't know, wherever it kicked me out, 20, 30 bucks, but not that amount of stress. So I think I've said this previously, and I'm sorry if I'm getting long-winded, but Nadex is just such an interesting thing, if that makes sense, to the point where there's a certain point with your analysis. It doesn't matter how good the analysis is and how attractive the confluence is. There is a point in that contractual period when, if you don't get the movement and you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, kind of like I was, you get to the point where all analysis is thrown out the window and it becomes 100% pure gamble at that time. Okay, and what you were saying at that time is, my analysis doesn't really matter right now. I'm just going to sit here and I'm either going to win it or I'm going to lose it. Okay, that's not a position I really like to put myself into. I think it creates bad trading habits. Because I'm just a purely technical trader, I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind. Where am I getting in? Where am I getting out? What am I going to do if it's not doing what I want it to do? Okay? Answer those questions all the time. Keep those in the forefront of your mind, and I think your trading will really have some leaps and bounds to the positive side. So sorry this got long-winded, but I wanted to just record this while I kind of had the thoughts and while I was exiting the trade. Very ugly trade, if I do say so myself. Looking back, it was probably not the best confluence. Yeah, it worked. Probably got lucky. So just remember, plan those trades, even if it doesn't matter how good it looks. And I told my boot camp guy this tonight. Sometimes the difference between a professional trader is not the trades that they take, but sometimes it's the trades that they actually don't take. So, critiquing myself, yeah, I made some bucks, but this was an ugly trade, and yeah, there was some confluence there, but was it really the best confluence I should have been looking for, or was I just almost looking for a trade? Okay, I'm gonna journal about that tonight because that's an honest question for myself. I'm like, I feel like this may have been pushing it a little bit. All right, my trade was more or less kind of down here at some initial confluence. And again, that one doesn't look like it worked out that great either for some people. Okay, but at the end of the day, with Nadex, especially with Nadex, trade, do your analysis, whatever that analysis is, whether it's candlestick patterns or just purely support and resistance, whatever. Have some rules, okay? I've been trading long enough that maybe I can get away with taking trades like this, but this is not something that you want to create a habit of, because this trade very well could have just gone against me, all right, in the last minutes, in the last seconds. And you could have, you saw, I mean, you've been sitting here listening to me for so long. I'm going to cut it short here in a minute, but you saw the level of stress that this trade would have caused me had I just tried to squeeze just a couple more bucks out of it. Okay? Had I, said, okay, I'm going to try and, see if it's going to break back below this trend line and go fill that channel bottom. That's not something that you really want to start saying, because, like I said, my take profit was essentially a retest of this kind of wedge breakout, all right, for Nadex. Okay, but super long-winded. I hope you found some value in this. I'm gonna maybe try and keep Nadex recaps to maybe 1 or 2 a week. So this may be it for this week. We'll see if anything else sets up. I hope you have a great night. I hope you trade safe. And again, plan those trades. And don't just take any old trades. Again, sometimes the difference between a professional trader and kind of an amateur trader or beginner trader is not the trades that they take, but the trades that they don't take. Okay? I hope you can find meaning in that. Okay, take care. God bless.